So good morning students, welcome to all in lecture number 9 of module 2, that is how to live in relationships. So basically from the last lecture we are trying to understand various formulations given in our tradition that help us to live in relationship. So in this sequence, in the last lecture we studied eightfold path given by Buddha. In this lecture we are going to study another formulation given in tradition, that is Yam Niyam. So let's start with this formulation and we will see how this formulation is helpful to us in living with relationship. So this is another formulation which we are going to study, Yam and Niyam. So Yam means ensuring harmony in relationships, and Niyam relates to ensuring harmony within myself, and these are articulated in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So in this lecture we are going to study Yam and Niyam in depth. Once we study this, a significant observation you can notice in yourself, that if you study, if you understand these principles, it will impact on your behavior in relationship, in complementarity. So basically after understanding of these niyams, you will be able to ensure harmony in relationships, as well as you will be able to ensure harmony within yourself. So when we ensure these at the level of thought, then it helps not only at the level of behavior, but it also helps at the level of understanding, at the level of feeling. So we will elaborate these principles in this session. So let's try to understand Niyam and Yam. So if we talk about Niyams, it means ensuring harmony within myself. We are going to study these 5 points: purity, contentment, self-discipline, self-study, contemplation. So these are basically related to ensuring harmony within myself. And in the context of living in harmonious relationship, these principles will help us: non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, chastity, non-possessiveness. So with the understanding of Niyam, we will be able to ensure harmony within myself, within ourselves, and with understanding of these Yams, we will be able to ensure harmony in relationship. Okay. So all these Yam and Niyam we are going to study in this lecture, in this session. So non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, chastity, non-possessiveness, these all 5 have been termed as Yam. But along with these, we will discuss 5 more principles, as purity, as patience, fortitude, compassion, non-hypocrisy, measured diet. This we are going to study in this session. So basically we are going to study these 5 and plus 5, 10 principles under the head of Yam. Then we will discuss Niyams, yani ki cleanness of mind, contentment, self-discipline, study of self, contemplation of the Ishwar, God. So if we study these 2 in details, we will be able to live in harmony within myself and harmony in relationship. So let's start and try to understand one by one. So what does non-violence means? So non-violence means not hurting anyone. So the practice of non-violence means not to cause trouble, harm to any living being. So we can see this non-violence at three levels. At the level of physical level, at the level of body, mental level, and behavioral level. So non-violence means not hurting others at the level of body, not hurting other at the level of speech, and also not hurting other at the level of mind. So among these, the level of speech is more subtle than the physical level, and the mental level is more subtle than the verbal level. To be more subtle means to ensure non-violence. The minimum scale to live in non-violence practice that we should not give any kind of pain to the other. So if we place it positively, we can say the message goes to live affectionately with all. Not hurting means I have feeling of affection for all. So once I have feeling of affection with all, then there is no question to hurt the other people. At the minimum scale, it is named as non-violence. If we talk about the highest possibility, so the highest possibility is named as love, affection with all. When we are not violent at the level of speech and body, then non-violent behavior is also ensured. So to ensure such non-violent behavior, it is necessary to be mentally good at the root. So continuity of affectionate behavior is an outcome of non-violence. In another word, we can say ensuring harmony at all levels. At the level of individual, family, society, nature, existence is non-violence. Or we can say understanding coexistence, interconnectedness, interrelatedness, and live according to it is basically non-violence. So it means non-violence. When I understand non-violence, I live in harmony within myself with the feeling of affection, with the feeling of love, compassion, and also I ensure complementarity outside with human being, rest of nature. So with this non-violence, we can live harmony with all. Let's move another component, another principle, that is truthfulness. So truthfulness means to be able to express the reality or event as it is without making your own coloring, without making any assumption, without giving any color to it from one's own side. So truthfulness means what I have seen as a reality, I am telling it, I am describing it. I am not mixing my assumption while telling the reality. So what the reality is, I am telling it as it is. This is truthfulness. So it is possible that different people express their understanding of reality in various ways, in various language, in various body postures, with various expressions. But what is significant in all of these? The significant is their intention to understand the truth. Their intention telling the truth. This is important part. So the important point is that we are trying to express things as they are, even though there may be differences in our perspective. So this is truthfulness. Okay. So in a true sense, we can live these 5 yams only to the extent we have understood, seen the reality. There can be continuity of the conduct of yam on this basis. Let's see another principle, non-stealing. So non-stealing is the third principle after non-violence and truthfulness. So non-stealing means not to steal. In another language, we can say not claiming ownership to the things which belongs to others. Or using only those things that one has produced or earned in another way. So we can say in two ways about non-stealing. Number one way is saying that not claiming ownership to things belong to others. And number two is use only those things that has been produced by you, that has been earned by you. This is non-stealing. So using those things that one has produced, you have produced, and it is non-stealing. Okay, so let's move another principle. I hope you are able to understand it. Then chastity, right use of senses. So next principle has been identified as chastity, meaning right use of senses. So right use of senses and the body on the basis of right understanding. To use senses in a right manner, at the base, right understanding is required in you. So understanding the basic laws, principles associated with sensation, and on this basis ensuring self-regulation and right use of sensation is possible. Okay, so understanding the basic laws, principles associated with sensation, and based on this ensuring self-regulation and right use of sensation is considered. Right sound, smell, taste, touch. With right understanding, now I am able to place these senses. Now I am able to utilize these senses for harmony. I am not indulging in these senses. So chastity means right use of senses, which can only be ensured with holistic perspective. Because with holistic perspective, with right understanding, I am able to see the placement of senses. Now I know what is the role of senses which I have got in this nature. So right utilization of those senses in a systematic and organized way is known as chastity. Okay, so you can investigate in yourself, you can observe yourself whether you are able to see right utilization of senses, sound, touch, sight, taste, smell. So you can ask yourself this question. You can observe yourself. Okay, so let's move to the next principle, non-possession. So this is the fifth principle named as non-possession. So the tendency of possessiveness begins when we start assuming the right on another person or things of others as our own. So if I don't have right understanding in myself, so I assume that everything, whether it belongs to me or other, is mine. This starts tendency of possessiveness. So when we do not accumulate unnecessary things, the things are available for use in society and everyone. So non-possessiveness is about not accumulating things that are unessential. So that is not my need, that is the things that are not my need, the things that I have not produced, I am not accumulating it, I am not possessed about it. This is non-possessiveness. This is non-possession. So we can develop the mindset of non-possession only when we have developed a tendency for right utilization. and sharing that which remains after right utilization. So with non-possession, I also share the things which I am not able to use. I share those things with others. So the outcome of adhering to these 5 principles, that is non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, chastity, non-possession, purifies us at the level of mind, speech and body. So truthfulness brings the purification of speech and makes our speech organized. The practice of non-stealing and non-possessiveness enables us to make the right utilization of things, share things, acquire wealth by way of production to ensure necessary service in the society through one's labor, thus living rightfully. The attitude of possession makes us believe to have the right to another person and to have a sense of possession on that person, which often leads to tendency of oppression. Therefore, being centered on non-stealing and non-possession, the mindset of oppression in behavior is resolved. So if we follow these 5 principles, it purifies us. It purifies our mind, it purifies our words, it purifies our actions, our behavior. Okay. So these 5 yams we have studied. So these 5 principles are related to each other. If we follow any one of these seriously, sincerely, the need to follow the rest becomes automatically a natural process. So these are interrelated. So for example, the principle of non-violence. It is recognized as the most important of these 5. If the principle of non-violence is established within us, the other principles follow naturally, spontaneously. So these 5 are also called anuvrat, vows of limited nature. So anu means small, limited. Vrat means right choice. It means I am committed for making right choice. So making a choice for doing the right thing, the commitment and eagerness to do it. So when we follow these vows in certain places, certain times, with some people, it is called anuvrat. And what does Mahavrat, what does mean Mahavrat? Maha means big. Vrat means right choice. So when we follow these vows at all places, at all time, with all people, it is called Mahavrat. So when we are ready to follow it in every country, with every person, in every age, it is recognized as Mahavrat. Or we can say it is a universal oath, universal pledge. It is a commitment from my side that I will live following these vows. So it is Mahavrat. So this is the ultimate place to reach. But anyhow, if it is not possible, we can live with these principles, at least with some people, in some country, in some time. So we can start with Anuvrat and ultimately we can reach up to Mahavrat. So starting from your place, starting from people around you, an expansion of this Vrat up to every place with every human being is required. So you can take pause for 2 minutes and ask yourself, are these principles are important for you? Do you commit to follow these principles starting from some place, then expansion up to the whole world? So you can investigate in yourself. Now I hope you would be able to understand non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, chastity, non-possessiveness, and you would also be understand meaning of Anuvrat, meaning of Mahavrat. So I hope you have understood all these principles. Okay, so let's move towards next. Now we are going to talk about forgiveness, fortitude, compassion, sincerity, and balanced diet. So if we talk about forgiveness, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness means it has two parts. The first one is to live resolutely in harmony with preservation, which is known as patience. The second part is to live with no bitterness, no ill feeling. This is forgiveness. So forgiveness means ensuring that there is a patience within and no bitterness, ill feeling towards the other. So it means I am unaffected from the behavior of the other. So if I am living unaffectedly from the behavior of the environment, behavior of the other, it ensures forgiveness. Okay. So let's move towards next principle, fortitude. So fortitude is the second name of Yam, which means right and appropriate behavior, even in adverse state or situation. So right, appropriate behavior, even in odd circumstances. And it can only be possible with the right understanding in myself. So if once I have right understanding, I live according to natural laws. I live in coexistential manner at any circumstances. So what its outcome, expression? Bravery is an expression of it. So bravery means I am living according to natural principles. I am living according to my natural acceptance. I am living with coexistence. I am living with interrelatedness. And I am sustaining it at any condition. This is bravery. So it is an expression of it. Okay. Let's move to another principle. Compassion. So compassion is the third aspect of Yam. So maximum help to the other in relationship. So it means now I can help to the other with acceptance of his or her state, with acceptance of his or her competence. So non-violence is the minimum help in a relationship, that I am not disturbing anyone at the level of mind, body and speech. And maximum help to the other in a relationship is living with compassion. That's why it is written, non-violence is the minimum help. It means I am at least not disturbing others. But maximum help is compassion. I am ready to help him at the level of speech, at the level of body, at the level of self. I am ready to help him at any condition. This is maximum help, compassion. Okay, so let's move towards another principle. Sincerity, non-hypocrisy. So the fourth aim is non-hypocrisy, which means living with sincerity and simplicity and free from pride and ego. So once we have right understanding, once we have understood the previous principles, we will be free from ego and pride, and we will be living with simplicity. we will be living with commitment, sincerity to ensure harmony around us, around me. So this is an outcome of this sincerity. What would be outcome? I will be free from pride and ego. I will be living with sincerity and simplicity. So all these principles we are trying to understand from the perspective of outcome. So let's move towards another principle, that it measured a diet. So measured diet means right intake, appropriate diet. So a measured diet is required for the appropriate health of the body, for appropriate behavior in relationships. So for the health of the body, for appropriate behavior in relationships, appropriate for being active without being lethargic, lazy. For all this, we required measured diet. Okay. So by following these principles, our interaction with others becomes harmonious. Along with this, the work of purification at the level of body, speech and mind starts through this practice of these principles. Then achievement. So the fifth yam. By following these principles, our interaction with others becomes harmonious. Once we understand all these principles, what will be the outcome, what will be the achievement? Following these principles, understanding these principles, our interaction with others becomes harmonious. And it also ensures purification at the level of body, mind, speech, and I am able to ensure harmony with rest of the nature too. Okay. So far we have talked about these 10 principles under yams. We talked about non-violence, we talked about truthfulness, not stealing, chastity, non-possessiveness, forgiveness, fortitude, compassion, sincerity, measured diet. So we have studied these 10 principles under the yam. Now we will try to understand 5 niyams. It means purity, contentment, self-discipline, study of self, contemplation of the Ishwar. So now we will talk about niyam, which is mainly associated with self-improvement, self-purification. So to be organized at the level of mind and body, 5 more principles have been identified, which are called niyam. So let's try to understand these niyams. So first is purity. So the first principle is purity. The purity at the level of body and also at the level of self, at the level of mind. So purity at the level of body requires cleanliness. Purity at the level of mind is being free from mental ailments, ensuring the right mental qualities. So impurity at the level of body can cause unhealth, can cause health problems, and impurity at the level of mind can cause psychological problems. That's why purity is required at the level of body and at the level of self, at the level of mind. So try to observe. Impurities at the level of body causes health problem, causes unhappiness, and impurity at the level of mind causes unhappiness, psychological problems, etc. So you can stop here, you can pause this video, you can observe yourself, what are you doing to purify your body, what efforts are you making to purify your mind. So purification of sanskars are required, and purification of sanskars can be done with the help of self-exploration, self-investigation. So if I explore myself, I investigate myself, I find out my natural acceptance, and on the basis of this natural acceptance, we can purify, we can evaluate our sanskars. And for self-development, this purification of mind is required. So you can ask yourself, what are you doing to purify your mind? So let's move towards another principle, contentment. The second niyam has been identified as contentment. So contentment is about being able to correctly recognize one's need for the physical facility and live in harmony with that much. So the mindset of living in harmony with physical facility available to us is contentment. On the contrary, we can say that physical facility belonging to the other does not become a reason for our greed, thus not talking us towards jealousy. So if we live with contentment, the problem like corruption, theft, cheating can be evaded. So with this contentment, many social problems we can get rid of. So mindset of living in harmony with the physical facility available to us is basically a contentment. So you can ask yourself, are you living with contentment? So next principle is self-discipline. So self-discipline means able to practice and live harmony on one's own right. The environment does not influence if we live with self-discipline. We live the way we want to live in harmony with human being, ensuring prosperity with rest of nature. Now I do not live in arbitrary way. I live according to coexistence. I live according to natural laws. This is self-discipline. Now my living is not getting affected from outer environment. Now my decisions are coming from my natural acceptance. This is self-discipline. Now I am living the way the existence is. This is self-discipline. So in the absence of self-discipline, I get influenced from others. I involve in various unethical practices. And what is the way to come out of these situations? To understand yourself, to understand coexistence. So as I understand coexistence, I become self-disciplined more and more. Okay. So let's move towards another, contemplation of the Ishwar. Ishwar, a symbol of the most expanded human properties and human conduct. It is visualized as Ishwar, as God. So it is not important that Ishwar exists or not. What is significant is whether we are able to contemplate on that feeling and thought or not. This is important. Can we contemplate a human qualities? Can we contemplate human conduct? It is important. So our feeling and thought are set right through continuous contemplation. It is appropriate to use any dedication endowed with human properties. It can be helpful in two ways. establishing our feelings and thoughts within. It slowly transforms our feeling and thoughts in tune with that form representing those qualities. So contemplation is required. Contemplation is an important part. So we can contemplate constantly with that feeling and thought. If we cannot do thinking in this manner, we will be affected from others. So the main important issue is to organize one's feeling and thoughts through contemplation of those properties. So it helps us developing our feeling and thought in harmonious manner, and we get transformed slowly at the level of feeling and thoughts. So let's sum up the things what we have studied till now. So we have these 5 laws have to do in harmony within, and by following these laws our feeling and thought is slowly set right, and we are able to work more harmoniously, and ultimately we are able to follow these yams, ensuring harmony in relationship, and niyam, ensuring harmony within consistently. So when we are making effort for it, we are able to achieve up to a certain level. So by this way our mind, our behavior, our work get purified. It means it get aligned with coexistence. So let's sum up the things. So we have studied these 10 principles under YAM: non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, chastity, non-possessiveness. Then we studied 5 more: patience, fortitude, compassion, sincerity, measured diet. And then we studied 5 niyams. So we studied purity, contentment, self-discipline, study of self, and contemplation of the Ishwar. So if we understand all these yams and niyams, we get purified, our mind get purified, our actions get purified, and we are able to live in harmony in myself and with others, human being as well as rest of nature. So I hope you have understood all these principles. You can make a list of these principles and you can evaluate yourself on the basis of these principles. You can start with Anuvrat and goes up to Mahavrat. So it's all from my side for this lecture. In next lecture, we will study next formulation related to living in relationship. Thank you very much. Let's meet in next lecture. Thank you.